Okay, so my name is Marvin, and I am a researcher and developer. I'm also the co-founder at Aclabs. So I wanted to conversate with you with regards to Riba and ask you a couple of questions in that regard. So please, sir, would you mind introducing yourself? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Marvin. So my name is Emeka. Uh, I'm the co-founder and CEO at Ribh Finance. Um, Ribh Finance, we are building stablecoin-powered invoice payment solutions for African-based businesses, enabling them to make simple, easy, and fast cross-border payments to their suppliers in any part of the globe, leveraging stablecoins. Um, We've been doing this for about 7 months now, and in that period, we processed, at the moment, we processed about $9.8 million of those orders. And we're also available in 5+ markets on the continent, as Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa. Um, yeah, so that is a brief summary of what I've been doing at Shriba. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'll just go dive right into the questions because I probably know that you are a very busy man and you have a lot of other things to do. So, um, what specific user behavior or pain points that led you to build this product? More like we want you to help us to describe your users and their daily money habit that led to the creation of River Finance.
It's a very excellent question. Prior to building Ribh, it's important to also mention what's actually guided my my journey into building Ribh. I did about 7+ years in traditional finance, working in two of the top five banks in Nigeria, GTB and Access Bank. And in my roles, I shuffled between branch operations, international operations, um, digital payments, and e-business, and of course, business development with emphasis on mass market solutions. So, in those roles, there are a few things I identified, and these were that. A lot of businesses in Nigeria were struggling to make cross-border payments because the banks weren't exactly supporting them efficiently when it comes to access to US dollars to power these payments. So, and this was more like a liquidity problem. The banks didn't have adequate liquidity to meet local demand, right? And it's at a point as a business, if you wanted to process about $100,000 to your supplier abroad, the bank could put about 40 to 60% of that, and this was as far back as 2013-14. But as the years continue to roll back, those numbers it continued to drop to a point the bank couldn't even meet up with any of your demands. So right now, as we speak, no bank can even process your payments. Right, the instrument used then was called a Form M. Right, if you wanted to import supplies, and so long as those items fall within the CBN approved list of items that can be imported to Nigeria, which a lot of businesses fall within. But now you can't even make those payments from the bank. So businesses have to go to traditional, of course, the informal markets, so like the BDCs or the black markets to source for dollars. And again, that is another messy experience for businesses because what you have now seen is a failure of the bank in itself because a business shouldn't. I am a businessman. I bring in spare parts to sell locally, and whenever I've sold a chunk of that and need to restock, I need to make payments. I shouldn't now be wasting days, weeks sourcing for dollars. It's so when you look at it from the business's perspective, these are lost hours. These are very stressful experiences, and sometimes things can go wrong. They can get duped, they can get scammed. So there's a whole lot of mess, right? and of course, the fact that they pay a lot of premiums. And prior to even all of this happening, I mean, the banks used to charge a serious amount of premium. So now even the banks will charge those because the businesses go get all these dollars on their bank accounts locally and process those payments. So you now see the street charge, the intermediary bank charges. These makes the transactions climb to as high as 7.5%, and it can go as high as 15% in some markets in Africa. Markets like Lesotho can go as high as 20%. So, and of course, this also goes beyond just invoice payments to suppliers abroad, but also for payments within Africa, because we also realize that businesses, even in Nigeria, export to other countries within Africa. And of course, they need to collect payments. And the traditional payment solutions, as it is, do not get out to intra-African trade seamlessly. Is a total mess. So, these are some of the lessons I learned while working in traditional finance. And in 2021 rather, I co-founded on and off from solutions, Scalex. And this was when I really delved into stable coins as a payment solution. We built around those solutions on stable coins, cater to retail markets, built up B2B APIs for exchanges, wallets, and so on. And in that, we got a lot of lessons as well. So how did we now end up at Ribh? One was, of course, the basic experience and knowledge of traditional TradFi and how it works and the shortcomings in it. Two was building Scalex, where we had to build out Web3 solutions for a lot of companies in the Web3 space, and taking a lot of lessons from that, which was majorly around stablecoins, processing partners, how to move value from one part of the continent to another. Which was very, very helpful. And then finally was the fact that we also learned that retail is very difficult when it comes to Web3 in Africa. So this was now what really drove us to Ribh Finance. So yeah, that's kind of like the journey of what led us to Ribh Finance and why we built that. We built that because we realized that stablecoins will and is a very viable solution to bridge the liquidity issues a lot of businesses face in Africa. It's also the best payment intermediary for intra-Africa transactions, enabling anyone in any part of Africa from Nigeria to make a payment to anybody in South Africa and vice versa without having to go through the various bottlenecks posed by traditional financial solutions. It can take days. So, for instance, payment between Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria can take anywhere between 2 to 3 days, and these are just neighboring countries, right? Even between South Francophone Africa, if you're making local currency payments between two different banks, it can take 2 to 3 days to settle. So when you look at all of this, it poses a serious problem, right? And in the middle of all this, stablecoins provides the best solution to get out of this kind of payment. So yeah, that's why we're building those things.
Wow. That's a lot of insights. I really appreciate this insight. So my next question basically is going to be I know you are building kind of like a hybrid between payments for retail and also inclusion of blockchain through stable coins, right? So I wanted to know, can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
How do you achieve that? Like, how do you achieve that your app doesn't completely look as if it's a blockchain? It's not like, how does it service people that don't really care about decentralization? I know your market does not really focus on the Web3 people, more on the retailer people who are in need of cross-border payments. So, how does what value proposition do you actually provide to them? That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, so I wouldn't exactly say retail is the right word. I think it's more about in real life businesses. So
Okay.
we are not focused on like Web3 businesses, right? Because again, like I mentioned, it's very important as you continue to build in this space. You start to identify and see insights into the market. The informal market in Nigeria is massive, right? And let's even speak about the data points that made us even start building, Ribh. So cross-border payments between Africa and China alone in 2023 was valued at over $175 billion. When you now look at between Africa and other parts of the world, we are looking at over $1 trillion. That is a massive market, right? So the sheer size of that alone, the stablecoin market, the cross-border payment market for stablecoins, or the Web3 market rather, in Africa is barely scratching the China market. The transaction is right, like I don't even think it's up to 50% of that, right? So when you start comparing these numbers, you see that there's a lot of play in providing solutions that abstract the stablecoin aspect. So basically, what we've done is we're using. I always have this argument that you need to actually understand the market you're building in, and through that understanding leads you to building the right solution for that market. Yeah, there is this whole chatter about stablecoin as the next payment framework or the payment tech, encouraging business payments in stablecoins and blah blah blah. But it doesn't work that way. I'm currently in a bank, currently in Arara. I am running the market research. I'm meeting businesses, having conversations, seeing how they transact. These local businesses are not yet there. I don't even think they'll be there in the next 5 years, the point, unless we actively and aggressively, of course, due to regulations and a whole lot, start pushing stablecoin payments as a payment alternative, right?
Yeah.
But you realize a lot of these businesses import their wares and their stock and their supplies from abroad. And when you understand the flow of money, you now better understand where to place stablecoins. And in this case, I call stablecoin as an infrastructure rather than a currency. That's the way I see it. So it is what you use as your stack, when building out cross-border solutions for businesses in Africa. So whereas as a fintech, I will be busting my head looking for a liquidity provider across the country, a banking partner, the multiple licenses, that enables me to collect Naira locally, via a very elaborate and complex liquidity provisioning framework where I have liquidity in different parts of, and even plugging in other cross-border payment liquidity providers in different parts of the world, to power swift transactions. Where I'll be doing that, what I simply do in this case is I simply take this local fiat from a local business, seamlessly swap it locally. Of course, we have massive liquidity providers of stablecoins locally. I swap it from that local currency to stablecoins, and leveraging a processing partner in the destination market, we can do a direct remittance. And all of this is done same day, right? So these businesses do not want to know whether you're using stablecoins. At the end of the day, the quotes they get are Naira to dollars, or Naira to Chinese RMB, or Naira to Dubai AED, or Naira to Brazilian Lira, or Naira to GBP. They don't care about Naira to USDT, right? So when you understand these dynamics, you now figure out the best way to pay. So for us, that was what we did. We don't stress these businesses with all the complex Web3 USDT, USDC jobs, because it starts getting too complex. The global economy knows $1, that's the US dollars. But there are over 5 US dollar stablecoins global, across board. So why do we need to stress users with that? And of course, start bringing in networks into it, block Solana, Base, Ethereum, Polygon. It now starts getting more complex, right? Again, like I said earlier, this business, they don't care about this, and it's not in your best interest as a founder, builder, solution provider to stress them with that. So what's our value proposition? We bring you the best, the fastest, the most affordable way to make your payments to your suppliers, right? Under the hood there, all of this is powered via stablecoins and a dedicated liquidity network that we've built, right, at Ribh. So yes, that's basically how we've gone about doing this, and I don't say this much. I think this is the first time I'm going to say it. We're also potentially going to be working with other brilliant networks that also cater to cross-border payments. I won't leak the alpha now, but of course, in the next couple of weeks, you hear about it. Because there are also other ways leveraging blockchain, of course, technology to power payments across borders, which are not just stablecoins as well. So at Riba, we're exploring the tools, the various instruments that actually ensure that businesses and consumers can make payments seamlessly in Africa.
Okay. That's awesome. I really get the insights into how the solutions have been made by abstracting away this crypto jargons type stuff. It's really a great feat, I think. So my next question would be, how did you prioritize withdrawal first approach? I know that your platform is going to be in such a way that the users can always withdraw their money anytime they want, and also they can be able to use the money to make payments as as soon as they want that to happen, right? How does this approach that you are doing now reflect your understanding of Nigerian user psychology around money and trust?
So I think you're speaking more towards our hybrid account that converts from local currency to stable coins, right?
Yeah, exactly. That I know that they hold the wallet, the money, the tokens in the stable coins in their wallet, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first product we started with, and we identified a few areas that needed some tweaking, especially around the fact that, again, like I mentioned, a lot of these businesses do not want to be burdened with the need to manage networks, stable coins. So these are some of the insights we got in beta testing.
Okay.
So we're actually back in the kitchen. We're cooking the optimized version of our hybrid wallets.
Okay.
We So what you're just seeing is a US dollar balance or account, right? It's a USDC slash USDT wallet, right? But for the user on the user interface, what they're seeing is a US dollar account, right? So we're going to be working on a lot of abstractions whereby if you're looking to withdraw, potentially you're looking to withdraw into dollars, you can do that. If you're looking to withdraw even into crypto, you could do that. So also giving that flexibility for businesses that are either stablecoin savvy and not stablecoin savvy. So if it's a typical Nigerian business trader who doesn't understand stable coins and they just want to withdraw that dollars back to their naira, right? We just seamlessly process that for them, right? If they are looking to also withdraw it to offshore to a global account, we can also do that for them. So these are just some of the nitty gritty things we are looking to building into that. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. So currently, I wanted to know how do most of your users currently discover and start using your product? Like how do you
Okay.
people? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I mean, like, Ribha has been in what you would call, we should call it a predator, right?
Okay.
In that we've not spent a dime on marketing. And why? Because we are actively building out, we're actually actively taking feedback from existing users, optimizing optimizing the current dashboard we have to add some of to ensure that it caters to everything they want in terms of even offering collections links, payment links, invoicing, a whole lot of all that, potentially even accounting and tax calculations and all that. So the app is not yet live. So what we've been doing is direct marketing. So all our clients, we are clients that the team personally, approached, onboarded. And now the good thing was we now saw a situation where most of our early clients even referred clients to us. So we also have a lot of other referred clients from existing clients. So that is actually what has actually led to the volumes we've processed in the last 7 months. So yeah, it's more direct marketing for now. But yeah, all of that will potentially change within the next couple of months once we get the V2 of our dashboard solution out, fully tested, fully ready, and able to enable anyone process payments to any part of the world. Potentially get some of our APIs ready as well
Okay.
for be platforms, e-commerce platforms, or just businesses, merchants looking to integrate stablecoin or fiat stablecoin widgets on their platforms. Once all of that is ready and live, yeah, we'll definitely communicate that. But for now, it's more of direct marketing.
So, so that's to say. So, what would you say? Would you say that word of mouth is currently playing a very big role in your customer acquisition and community growth?
So yeah, I mean, like Riba is a very very it's a very very specialized product. All right, it's it's core. It is right there. It is as B2B as B2B. It's um, it's not a solution any and anyone is going to be using. It's a solution strictly for businesses, right?
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Um, so how will I put it? What's your question again? Just
I'm
remind
saying
me again your
that
question.
would you say that word of mouth has been playing a very big role in your
Exactly. Yeah,
community
exactly. So
growth
because
and
of the
retention?
nature, yeah, exactly. So because of the nature of the kind of business Reba is, it's very important. It relies heavily on trust. So again, it's not mentioned a lot, but part of what has actually also led to the going through the process is because of the amount of social capital, integrity a founding team has. Because you have to think about it. What would make someone to comfortably give you $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 equivalent, be it equivalent or even in stablecoin to process a payment for them, right? That is a ton of money, right? And so, due to, I would also say, I've done a lot to also ensure that my dealings in the past were very transparent, very honest. So it takes a certain level of character to build these kind of solutions and build that trust for people to also trust in you, right? Because you also realize a lot of these businesses, most of their working capital are loans, right? So imagine a business that brings in supplies to the tune of 80, 100 million every quarter, and it's powered by a loan, a running loan they have, an overdraft. You do not expect that business to just take a chance on you because someone introduced you to them that you're a good person for processing cross-border payments, and they will just send their money to you, right? There has to be a level of trust before they can do that. So, and that trust is built by also being there physically, also building the right network of of individuals, knowing the right people, and having. So yeah, I would say it's basically having worked in TradFi, having built ScaleX, the relationship that we have forged and over the years. So yeah, so it's very the direct marketing is very crucial in these early stages because you also have to um, you you have to do a lot of iterations. You have to do a lot of testing. There's a reason why we've had this extended beta testing because you have to be sure that different processors you're working with are efficient, are effective, are reliable. You need to identify what are the kind of things that could go wrong in a transaction and how to mitigate it the next time or how to manage that situation. So again, yeah, direct marketing is very important in these early stages for this kind of business. Then when you've perfected and you have a very reliable, sustainable template, then you can now go all out. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's lovely. I see that word of mouth is actually playing a very big role, and most of it is coming from your reputation, from TradFi, and your relationship with the people that you've made business with in the past. So yeah. So I wanted to also know, how do you people handle the technical complexity of involving a blockchain UX while still make a blockchain implementation while still making
Well,
the platform as simple as possible for the user? Like how is everything being coordinated like behind the scenes?
well, I think like it's pretty much a lot of just abstractions, right? And also working with the best partners that have built out very good that toolings that are very, very Web2 friendly, right? So we didn't have to go building smart contracts and all of that. We're working with Circle, right? So most our core infrastructure is built on Circle's wallet framework, so which is very, very, very fintech friendly, right? So that's just basically it. Like I said, do a lot of abstractions, but of course you still need to do some wraparound on your own front end. Like I said, these tools will not, they would only provide you easy access to creating wallets, managing gas and all those stuff. But you are the one who has to still take it a bit further to say, okay, as a business, when a customer is paying you on Ribh, they can pay you in USDT or USDC. If it's a client that's looking to pay in stables, yes, no problems. They can pay you with any stable coin across any network. You don't need to worry about that. Our system handles all of that. But what we've done is we ensure that it all settles in one chain. Easy accounting and management for us. For you as the merchant, you're seeing it as one currency, US dollar, right? So be it you got 500 USDC here, 250 USDT there, 100 Pi USD here. It totals all of that and just see it as one currency as a business, right? So you don't have to start managing all those various assets individually. So yeah, it's just ensuring we clean it up. And like I said, these are businesses that have been using local bank accounts for like for the longest. So how do you have to design that solution to not just replicate what they are used to, but even try to further simplify that. And really, it's also about the vision of Ribh is really not just about invoice payment. It's also about financial empowerment. Really, providing toolings and solutions that the traditional solutions have pretty much decided they are no longer interested in innovating around. Because it's not just about invoice payments. Businesses also struggle to access loans, right? So of course, Ribh is working actively to build kind of like DeFi-backed powered, which was actually part of our initial scope, although we paused it, but we're revisiting it again. Kind of like a DeFi powered lending solution for in real life businesses, right? Powered by on-chain footprints, which are like, if we're already enabling you to handle collections and all that, we should be able to leverage those transaction records to create a credit rating for your business, right? Aside that, also trade finance too, so like invoice financing, a whole lot of other things. So it's going to be a long journey. But of course, we are starting here because it's like the lowest hanging fruit, which is cross-border payments. But it's a very, very saturated market as well. So what are those other value adds that you throw in there to sweeten it for businesses? What are those things you're going to do to ensure that businesses stick more to your solutions? And these are things we're going to be exploring in the next couple months. And also going beyond just import-based businesses. Okay, how do we also make it easier for businesses generally to even receive payments, stablecoin payments from the existing Web3 user base locally? that's something else we are looking to explore, right? How do you seamlessly just go into your neighborhood supermarkets and you can pay with your stablecoin holdings, right? So these are some things we're exploring. These are some things we'll be playing around with, but still adding it to the larger stack, right? No rush, because again, like I said, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of trust. You can't just walk into an A-Ban and tell A-Ban that I'm going to provide you with this and able to collect payments in stablecoins. Truth be told, they won't listen to you, right? So you need to find the right entry points. Where that's why we keep having these discussions with these businesses, trying to understand, what are the things you're willing to try. What are the conditions upon which you want to try this? So yeah, so it's going to be an interesting couple of months for us, and yeah, we're ready for it.
So thank you very much. So are there any other integrations you guys have beyond just Seco wallet system and payment system? Is there any other integrations you guys have made or partnership you guys have currently that you are working with?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we partnered with the licensed entity locally to. So honestly, I mean, we've not announced it yet, but Riba is what you could say is regulatory compliant in terms of the fact that our local operations are powered by Busha.
Okay.
So, and that is in line with ensuring that we are aligned with the regulatory space in Nigeria. So, that is prior to any time we get our loan license, we are good to operate in Nigeria. But aside that, we've also partnered with a South African entity that enables us to power near instant payments across South Africa, Kenya, and Europe is coming shortly. These are some of the payments that have contributed in a few hours, right? A few minutes to hours.
Please,
So that is a big one I told you we'll be announcing anytime soon,
please
right?
could you come again? I didn't quite get the part where you talked about the South Africa entity. Thank you.
Yeah, a South African entity partner, right? So we partner with a South African payment processor, blockchain powered as well, that will enable us to power near instant, and I'm talking about a couple of minutes, near instant payments between Nigeria, South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, and Europe as well, right? So of course we'll be announcing this in the next couple of weeks. So that's coming. We're also in discussion with a couple of partners out of Latin America and even the UK, also around powering instant payments and settlements through network nodes in different parts of the world. Because like I said, the V1 of Reba now is most of our payments are still going through like Swift wire transfers and all that. But the V2 is where we are starting payments instantly via other direct liquidity providers in different markets, because that's the future we are looking at. We feel like we need to fully bypass Swift network, which is very, very rigid and slow, because that's what most people, that's what basically everybody's using, and it's very slow. So what that happens in this situation is Reba, for instance, becomes a payment processor in Nigeria. So anybody sending payments to a Nigerian vendor or merchant just plugs into Reba's node, and we settle those payments on their behalf. So these are some things we're exploring. So of course, more information will be coming out on this. In the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I wanted to know how to like currently what model did you guys use to like price your product or structure fees? Like from what areas do you guys resort to revenue generation? Thank you.
Come again?
Like I wanted to know how you guys price your product or services. Like how do you guys generate revenue currently? Is it through fees, subscription, or margins or rates? I don't know.
Yeah, we earn revenue through two methods, through spreads on FX spreads,
Okay.
which is very, very, very light. Then we also earn through we charge transaction fees. So our average transaction fees out of Nigeria is at 0.5%. But different markets incur different fees from what we've understood. So potentially, if we are going to markets like Zambia, Uganda, if we're activating those kind of markets, Cote d'Ivoire, we might be charging up to 0.75 or 1%, right? But the whole idea is to always be at try to be at least 20% of what the cheapest traditional solution offers. I mean, like I said, the cheapest around there is about 5%, right? So at 1% of that, that's 20% of 5%. So we're trying to we want to ensure we are the most affordable, in the pipeline when it comes to alternatives. So yeah, that is it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, I want to know currently what are the constraints, whether regulatory, financial, or technical, that is shaping how you guys make your product decisions currently, like the challenges that you experience or the costs that you people have encountered so far.
Come again, I didn't get that.
Like I want to know like what are the constraints currently, whether regulatory, financial, or technical, that is shaping how you guys build your product or make decision towards your product development so far.
Well, I think it cuts across all of them: financial, technical, regulatory. Right. Like I said, the regulatory space for cross-border payments in Nigeria is not really favoring a lot of businesses. In that CBN have made it difficult for the banks to support businesses in that regard. On the financial side is the fact that of course payments through traditional, even the existing traditional players are very, very expensive, so there are massive constraints. When you factor in the inflation and currency devaluation and how it's affecting a lot of businesses, having to see businesses also now lose a lot of revenues because of cross-border payment is a pain point. So that's another problem. And of course, finally, it's technical. Technical is the fact that there is just a lack of solutions across board that makes it possible for a business. And one of the questions, one of the things I use as a yardstick is, if I ask you now, if you want to send a payment to Egypt, do you know how to do that? You would realize that you have zero clue how to do that. But Egypt is in Africa. If I ask you, do you know how to send a payment to Uganda or let's say Zambia, to Cape Verde or Mali, you just keep racking your head. You get me? Because it's not just easily accessible, but in continents like Europe, even in Southeast Asia, it's also easy to power a payment from Thailand to Malaysia, Malaysia to China to Hong Kong. These solutions are at the tip of their, for every business in those locations, these solutions are right there in their banking apps. You get. If you're a business in Europe and you want to send a payment to Vietnam, it's right there on your internet bank. Like, it's not a hassle. But when you bring it down to Africa, we realize that businesses are suffering, and that is why Africa trade is so difficult. That is why a lot of people do not even know the items that might be of interest to them in Kenya. That's why we do not have a continental marketplace where I can shop items from businesses out of Kenya and have it shipped to me in Nigeria. Because the tech, the tooling is non-existent, right? So these are the constraints. These are all the things we've seen. These are all the things that we've identified and said we need to come up with easier ways to bridge these gaps. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. I wanted to also know how do you guys balance your current product optimization in terms of ensuring that it's usable and also ensuring the security of funds and the entire platform security together while still making it as usable as easily usable for as possible for your users.
So yeah, I mean, like we try to ensure we use the best and updated security architecture. It goes beyond just 2FA and everything, but of course, like passkeys, social logins. Just aside making it easy, we also try to ensure that the security is there. Our dollar accounts are non-custodial. It was custodial in the V1. It's actually going non-custodial in the V2. So that also removes the ability for us to have access to user funds. The cross-border invoicing tool, the invoice payment tool, is not exactly custodial or non-custodial because it's just basically in out, right? Your funds are just coming in and flowing from. We're just like bridging that, creating the bridge where Naira comes in, is swapped, and it moves from there to processor end and settlement is done, right? So it's really just understanding the various how funds flow and ensuring that you ensure that there are some, how will I put it, some safeguards to ensure that things can't go wrong. So, for instance, in our invoice checkout, if you as a business process the payments or you funded the wallet to make a payment, that wallet does not actually have like a withdraw function, right?
Mhm.
So, if you want to withdraw from those funds from that wallet, you actually have to reach out to support, and of course your relationship manager has to reach out to you, confirm and all those things because these are high value transactions, right? So we also keep things a little bit in the web. So the truth of the matter is, right, in as much as speed is important, but when speed is taking you directly to when optimizing for speed increases insecurity, then you have to compromise, right? So uh, a business process initiated a payment of $500,000 to a supplier in China. Somewhere in between all of that, either the payment failed or the business canceled the payment, right? So that means there is that volume in the business's position in the invoice payout. The business can just click a withdrawal button there, select a wallet, and the funds are returned there. No, you get it's not even existing there. So of course there has to be that reach out through dedicated channels and of course further communication. This can take between anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, right? But these are just to ensure that okay, Mr. John or Mr. Femi, you actually withdraw. Yeah. This you still add that human element to ensure as your I call it three-factor authentication to ensure that okay, this is clean. And of course, you use through their white labeled or whitelisted wallet, you refund back to that wallet. So these are things we also do. We don't just make it look like you're making a seamless withdrawal from your phantom wallet because no, we're not like I told you. We're not dealing with $50 or $100. These are large transactions. So security and the architect rather is very important. So that's it.
Wow, wow. I think that's a very um, a very thought out decision plan in terms of optimizing for security. And I really, really understand and appreciate this process because I consider Ribh to be more of like a dedicated service. Probably needs to be more secure and make the customers feel as if they are actually doing something that is close to banking but faster. Yeah. So
Yeah.
um, so far, I wanted to ask a question. It's gonna be very funny, but I just need for you to like just tell me from your perspective. So, what usage pattern has surprises you the most since you guys have been better? Like how you expect people to actually use Riba, but then they intend to use it in a way probably might be bad or maybe it can be in a good way that you don't really expect that they will use it for. Do you have any such case scenarios?
Okay. So I would say My greatest shock has been finding out that the invoice payment market is is bigger than we all know.
Okay.
One, and there are areas in the market that do not actually require stablecoins, right? They are fully on fiat rails. So if you're bringing in stablecoins, you're even adding more complexity. So the stablecoins have a role there potentially, but you just have to figure out the right way to collaborate. That's one. Number two is that also realizing that cross-border payments is just one of the piece of the puzzle that businesses need. There are other far-reaching challenges they face daily in financial services. These are all still financial service-based problems, right? So when it comes to financial services, there's insurance, there is payments, there is loans, there is mortgage. There are different financial services, right? There is savings and other yield. So you realize that it's really bigger than that. There are businesses that are so liquid heavy. So that liquid heavy. They tend to hold a lot of fear sometimes, and they don't like the fact that those fears are just lying idle. They might actually want to yield on them. So these are some things. So basically, I would say the shocker for me is realizing that, oh, cross-border payments and what we built is just some businesses also claim it's quite alright, but it's not their pain point. It's not as big as a pain point as you think it is. Is it something they need to solve? Yes, but it's not their biggest pain point. So I'll say that's it. That has been like my greatest shock, and the only way you get all those insights is when you leave the bubble of X social media and actually go to these businesses and have conversations with them. That's when you now realize that, oh, it's much bigger, way much bigger, right? So that we know. Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess that's what I'll say. I won't say what I found out, but I expect, because I stepped out there, so I'm not going to just drop some. People need to step out of the bubble of X and dropping waxing lyrical all the time. Get out there, get your hands dirty, have conversations,
Okay.
and you'll be shocked at what you find out.
Yeah. I think that is kind of like a valid point. I won't hold you. I won't hold anything that's valid. Valid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my next question will be, what would you tell a Silicon Valley founder probably who is planning to build something similar as Ribh in Nigeria, and how do you think they'll probably get the whole market wrong?
And again, it's all still, like I said, it's still all part of the shocking insight I learned, and it's also what brought me down to area markets in Abia State, because I had a lot of conversation with some businesses out of Balogun in Lagos. So I came down here to try to also understand if there's like alignment in what I learned over there, and if it jives with what's happening over here as well. So like I said, the shocker for me is that I realized that I think a lot of us are building solutions out of hearsay, not out of insights, clear insights from the ground. People are building from top down, not from ground up. And I think that is why we've not fixed payments, Africa payments, trade, because most of the projects that have built out these solutions, of course, we see that the funding have come from the West Silicon Valley, and these guys are just building off of the fact that dollar is scarce, my charges are high, blah blah blah. All true, but that is just, it's not even the tip of the iceberg. It's just a piece of the puzzle. That is not the problem, right? You now, okay. It will shock you to realize that a large percentage of transactions still going on in these markets, from trade fair to Balogun to Alaba to Newi, across board. How are these businesses still making payments? They are not using your Flutterwave, your Paystacks, your Aza Finance, your Veto FX. So who is processing them? These are the questions. And so long as people can keep, you can't build out solutions for Africa, unfortunately, and this is just the truth. You can't build out solutions for Africa from Silicon Valley if you're not on ground, if you've not been in the middle of those markets, if you've not had interactions, if you're not having conversations with the trade associations and the unions, if you've not understood the process from how a business ships its product from China down to Nigeria, from the freight to the order flow and everything. If you don't understand that, then you can't build solutions for Africa. You're only just building solutions for the multinationals. At the end of the day, most of these solutions are just current transactions for the big institutions, the Dangotes and everything. At the end of the day, they haven't hacked the SMEs, which is where the informal market is bigger than the formal in Africa. So my advice for if you're building out of Silicon Valley for the African market, you need to calm down. You need to be here. You need to really calm down. You need to get your hands dirty, right? And it will take you a while to get your hands dirty. You need to understand. You need to have constant interactions because it's not a one-shoot-fits-all solution that you're going to build. Sometimes it's like it's funny because the initial solution we built at Ribh, it's now took, honestly, like, we had to look at it recently and like, this is not it though, right? Because when you now go in there and have better conversations, you realize it's different. You know, these businesses do not have time for those dashboards, those fancy dashboards being built, right? So you need to rethink the approach. You need to rethink the UI and the user experience. So these are only insights you get by coming on ground. So that's why he has gotten a lot of flack from people saying, "Oh, you've been doing this in beta and everything." Yes, because you can't go and overbuild. It takes engineering time. You an engineer building something takes time, stress. So I've been at the other end. This is not my first radio, so I've seen where things have been built only for engineers to realize that this is not what the market needs, right? So it's very important that you take your time and you understand what you're building, then you build it right. So that's it. That's what I was, if anyone coming from Silicon Valley, come down, understand your market, and what you build for Nigeria would not essentially work for Kenya or for Ghana. There are similarities, but you need to understand the psychology of those businesses there, and you now build from ground up. Yeah.
Wow, that's lovely. So I also wanted to ask, what's one design decision you've made that you think every other person who is integrating blockchain or Web3 to their product as a hybrid should actually put in mind while they try to solve a local problem with emphasis on trying to scale into the larger African or global market?
Oh, well, I mean, like, I think the best thing, I tweeted about it recently where I said I think I'm at a point where if an infrastructure integration does not immediately add to my ROI, I don't touch it. A lot of teams try to. I had a call recently with someone building out of Super Team, and he had built even going as far into APIs and everything, and he's yet to land his first clients. I'm telling you, you need to pause, right? You need to identify the right infrastructure to use, as also avoid anything that piles in any cost for you early stage, because as African builders we do not have the ease of funding like our European, North American counterparts do.
Yeah.
So you don't have the luxury. Any grant you get, you don't have the luxury to be spending $50, $100 on infra here and there. If that infra is not critical to what you're building, there are infras that provide you with free access to maybe a maximum of 2,000 monthly active users or stuff like that. Use those ones because you are actively trying to get to that first 2,000 users. And don't try to bot your users. You're trying to get actual users, trying to test. So also to keep advising, do not waste too much time building in your head. Have conversations as fast as possible and get to market as fast as possible. Get your solution into the hands of people as fast as possible. It doesn't need to be perfect, right? Even if it means getting to a very close group of users first before you now start getting to a larger market, do it. I think that's also part of the reason why Patch Cash is doing so well. Patch Cash started and I think, we told you, listen, just get it out fast. Don't waste any time. You get me? Then you can now iterate it from there. You get me? So, goes hand in hand, like I said, also infrastructure. There are a ton of infrastructures there if you're building your tool. Look around, take your time. Only use what is ideal for what you're building. And for me, the biggest is they call it a PMF. PMF first. Try to ensure that your solution has a place in the market as fast as possible. The faster you're able to identify that, the more confidence it gives you as a team to continue building. Right? So yeah, that's it.
Wow, that's lovely. That's lovely. So I also wanted to ask, um, what do you think is the biggest misconception that Web3 builders have about the African users, and how do you think if they can be able to like understand the users properly, if they unlearn this misconception, they will be able to build smarter product market fit for their products.
Well, I think number one, uh, the market is awareness is huge. You know, a lot of the Gen Zs and early millennials, are very very conversant with Web3, right? But it's still a very fledgling market. It's not yet there. It's not as advanced as what we have in Asia, Europe, North America, where we have serious amount of liquidity flowing around. You know, so sorry, a minute. So yeah, you need to have that in mind. So each time you're building a solution, you also need to try to identify how big is the market for this solution. That is why most times I actually see there is a place for more out of the box solutions. And what I mean out of the box solution, I always call them hybrids, right? These are solutions that are essentially trying to make it easier for people to optimize on existing like Web2 solutions. So, for instance, the reason why stablecoin cross-border payments and remittance is growing very well in Africa is because it's offered a direct alternative. So prior to stablecoins, already businesses were using Bitcoin. Between 2018 and 2019, a lot of businesses were using Bitcoin as a way to make payments to China. Especially a lot of Chinese businesses locally in Nigeria then, they were the heaviest purchasers of Bitcoin with Naira, because that was the way they were sending money back home, right? Then now stablecoins have come, it's made it easier. So you see that there was already a PMS for stablecoins. in Africa. So, but now if you're not building in DeFi and all those other areas, you need to be extra creative, extra innovative, right? What is my DeFi protocol trying to do, right? Am I building a DeFi protocol that enables a Web2 person? Oh, previously you could have access to treasury bills with this app, Nigerian treasury bill, but now we have actually brought Euro bonds, US bonds, and even access to other bonds or bills in other parts of the world easily to your doorstep. So now, previously, while you could previously just take invest in treasury, Nigerian treasury bills at 20% or otherwise, you can also see other markets across the world, Brazil, Argentina, any other part of the world, where potentially there are better yields. So what you've done is you've given people, now there might be some regulatory constraint, but you get the idea. You could always meet with the regulators at some point where the market, because again, people need to understand that regulation is, how will I explain it? Regulation is only as big as you are. So what do I mean? You need to be adventurous. You need to be daring. Build the solution first, right? There's a point. There's a maximum value of volume you now start processing, and that's when SEC will start saying, "Come, we need to have a discussion with you. Where's your license?" And funny enough, before you even get to that, you'd have gotten enough PMF and validation that investors are even interested in you, and you raise capital to get the license, right? So I also feel like people need to be a bit more daring with what they are building. Just be a bit more daring, right? Find confluence, find areas that your solution marginally moves the pin. I've seen people try to build e-commerce platforms where people can buy t-shirts and everything with digital assets. You're gonna struggle, right? You're gonna struggle because how are people buying clothing nowadays? You need to also figure that out. For someone like me, it's been a long time I bought a clothes online. It's either when I travel. Okay, today now I was in Aba. I stepped into the market. I bought a leather slippers because I was in the bags and I was in Aba. So how many people buy clothes? Okay, some people, okay, yeah, there's time to buy off Instagram people, right? But it's because I see their wares and everything. So you just really need to figure out, is my solution really going to move the needle or not? You know, are people already very comfortable with the way they are transacting? If they are comfortable, there's a higher chance your solution won't work. You need to go to areas where there is friction, there is actually a pain point, and then there is actually a large market. Right, you get me? Most of our pitch in Ribh is we are targeting the China-Africa trade corridor. And like I told you earlier, it's valued at 180 billion naira. If we just get 5% of that, that's 9 billion. That is massive. You process 9 billion every year. The amount of revenue you're going to get on that, you might not even need investment from anybody. So, what is the size of the market I'm trying to disrupt or I'm trying to improve upon? These are very important things. Not just, oh, this looks like what people are struggling with. Let me build something for it. Right? So, I advise people to be a bit more daring, be a bit more data driven. You want to do something, open up a ChatGPT, use the voice prompt, ask it the question, hey, I'm looking to do this. What do you think? How big is this market? What is the potential here? I need to have that benchmark. If you're not seeing $1 billion and above, you shouldn't be bothering yourself about it, right? Because you should be thinking in terms of percentages. What is the size of this market I'm trying to capture? Potentially, it needs to be awesome enough for at least Africa. Globally, if you're playing the big games, if the market is not over $500 million, $500 billion and thereabout, okay, right? No investor is going to look at you. But down to Africa, you have a lighter weight to carry. $1 billion market in Africa is good for African standards. If you can disrupt that and take 10%, you're okay, right? You see me? Because 10% is $100 million. If you're charging anywhere between 0.5 to 1% in that market, you're making back. You're making anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 in revenues clean per annum, or even more if I'm right. But I think thereabout. So if you look at it from an African perspective, an African business, you're making $100,000 in revenues per annum. You know, that comes down to I think about $8,000 or something per month. You get me?
Yeah.
Depending on how you structured your team, if your OPEX is not high, that's good. So these are just how you look at the numbers. Everything has to be numbers driven. When you're making a decision, look at the numbers. Very important. It's the numbers that makes it worth your while. Am I wasting my time or not? If the numbers look very heavy, most of the time, if the numbers is even very, very heavy, yes, it might scare you, but then you just dive deeper. Try to identify who are the competitors in there, what are they doing, what are they doing differently. Do I have a play in this or not? So, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. That's very, very huge. I think I got some insights that I will take home. So I wanted to also ask, um, where do you see Riba in the next 2 years? And probably what new behaviors, customer behaviors or use cases that you guys will be trying to unlock in 2 years' time?
So 2 years is 2 years is massive, right? I mean, in the last 1 year, the regulatory space in Web3 has a lot has happened.
Yeah.
We've gone from BlackRock and all these guys claiming that BTC has no place in world finance to BlackRock now being the biggest ETF this time, all within 1 year. So when you look at the trajectory of things, 2 years is massive. So for us at Ribh, it's a mixture of one, not changing the wheel, at the same time being pace setters. So what do I mean? We will try to not. We're not gonna be the ones to say we are gonna force businesses in Africa to collect stablecoin payments, right? But it's gonna be there. We are gonna rather make it as an option they see and they get curious. What is this? Okay, I don't really understand. Let me stick to what I know. We are gonna be right there across that range from what you know to what you're not sure of, while we're gradually over time educating and ensuring and making it possible for you to understand what you're not sure of down the road. You're not sure of it, right? We'll also be coming up with new payment methods, new payment flows, right? Because again, we are at that trajectory. I strongly believe that stablecoins will will be the catalyst for improved intra-Africa trade. And just like I said earlier, um, the way it's so easy for anybody to shop on Amazon, ASOS, and everything, right? These are you're buying from global brands in Europe, in North America, and etc. We need to make it possible for me to buy indigenous items in different locations in Africa that I know I can't get in Nigeria, but I can get it here, right? So let's just say, okay, for lack of, we are at South Africa, and that was when I got to realize that South Africa, they have one of their biggest exports is wine, and they have some of the best grape wines, honestly, like I've ever had, you know. But how do I buy that grape wine currently? There's no way, unless there's someone importing it into the country, right? But we want to make it possible in the next 2 years. We want to make it such that um, a supermarket or a grocery store can bring South African wine to their shelf. And who is powering that payment to their supplier, to the farm in South Africa? Ribh, right? We are making it possible for them to seamlessly go from Naira to South African rand to pay for their restocking. These are things you're looking at. You want to you've made a few earnings and you feel like, okay, you want to go to the safari in Kenya. You can pay for your reservations and everything via stable coins. And who is the checker powering that? Yeah, potentially Ribh or any other person. That is the future we are seeing like in the next 2 years, right? And we're trying to ensure that we are at the right in the mix of all these new tools. You get me? So for us right now, first things first is bridging all the markets. It's going to take a lot of work. Bridging all the individual markets across. Well, between now and this same time next year, we want to have bridged at least 20 African markets. Basically, we build the rails. You can seamlessly make payments vice versa and all across these markets through the Ribh framework. And now, on top of that framework, we would probably be hosting hackathons or whatever. Let other people, as much as we can build, but let other people come into that and build out, abstract out other solutions. Can someone come there and build out an e-commerce market? Fine. Right? So where different merchants across these different markets can list their goods and anybody can pay for these things. A Kenyan person can buy a good from someone in Tanzania, right? Paying in Kenyan shillings is going through whatever stablecoin, settling the other end. So these are just kind of things you're looking at, right? To someone can build any other thing. Someone can build a hospitality solution off it. Right? You can book hotels, book vacation spots, book rentals, book desert or wildlife safaris, anything, right? You can also buy items. You can do anything you want to do there. So you can also potentially build a real world asset solution there where anyone can invest in any real estate in any of these in any of these countries in Africa. But how does that real estate in the other side receive these payments? Who is powering it? Because the truth of the matter is, in this call right now, I've mentioned 3 solutions, and I think it's one of the insights I learned from thanks to going to Apex. I met an Indian guy, and when he saw my pitch deck, Ribh had invoice payment, had marketplace, had lending. He was like, Emeka, these 3 problems, the solutions for them are massive in themselves and require different business models. I would advise you to focus on one, right? So what am I trying to say is we are in a situation, I think the person from Okra mentioned it, that the problem, one part of the reason why Okra failed is what's also affecting multiple other African tech startups, because when you think you're building for one solution, you're building for 3, 4, 5 other solutions. If you're building a lending market, focus on building if you're building a real world asset market where you want anybody to be able to buy any real estate across Africa, as a founder, builder, and your team, you should be focusing on that. But what I'm saying is, people are building that at the same time, they're building liquidity infrastructure. They are building the payment rails. Too much distraction. So we are trying to ensure we build out that stack. And what it now does is it unlocks possibilities. Someone can build out a school fees payment portal. On top of that, that in itself is a business. You get me? So someone can come and build out you can build out any freaking thing, electronics, whatever. So you now realize that it's an infrastructure that is highly needed. If you build a new road network somewhere, different kind of things come there. Schools come there, hospitals come there, real estate companies come there, retail stores come there. So that is what payment rails are. They are infrastructure upon which multiple other businesses are built upon. And that's why you have like the Silicon Valley ecosystem doing really well, because you have players like Stripe, right? Stripe says, don't worry, focus on building your Gumroads, your whatever, your whatever. I will just ensure that anytime you want to collect payment from your clients, I am there for you. Simple. So imagine where you are having to build Gumroad, or you're having to build Calendly, or you're having to build any of those unicorn startups, and at the same time you're building payment rails. That is what we face in Nigeria a lot of times. So yeah. think I've spoken a lot of things today.
Yeah, yeah. I think you have. I think you've given us a lot of insights. I think for me, I feel this is more than I would like to it's more than expected because I see you as one of the business development minds in the super team community. So getting to have a conversation with you behind how you built your product or how you are scaling it right now, for me as somebody who is aspiring to become a business developer myself, I see it as a very much um, a great conversation to have. So the last question I want to ask for the interview is currently I know you've mentioned something about the metrics you guys have, but I want to get in. So currently, what are the metrics that you guys have actually achieved so far to show the progress of Reba in terms of the business?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, our kind of business, our north star is transaction volumes, right? Because that's what directly moves the board for us. So we've processed 9.5 million, approximately 9.8 actually. We crossed 9.5, $9.8 million. So that's a very key one. We're present in, like I mentioned, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa, right? Potentially even active in Dubai soon, So presence is also very key, very important for us. So it's something we're working on aggressively. Um, Potential to scale to Latin America. Latin America is there, but no. Again, just keeping it within Africa because we're just trying to kill it here. That's it. Partnered with a regulated provider locally, partnered with a payment processor out of South Africa, and potentially partner with another one. Actually, currently onboarding with another one out of the UK to enable us also seamlessly process cross-border payments for businesses out of Africa. Actively, we have over 10 clients we are serving, and these are all gotten through direct marketing, and they are all directly responsible for the 9.8 million we processed. So yeah, those are the key metrics for us. So the target is very, very ambitious. We intend to close this year with 100 million. And so, yes.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
That will depend.
Well,
Yeah, it's 10x.
that's
It's
that.
10x. I mean, like, it's very possible, honestly.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
very possible. There are partners, there are competitors in West Africa doing that volume in a quarter, even in a month. The market is big, like I mentioned, it's massive. So again, like I said, numbers. Africa, China is 180 billion, right? So who is processing all those payments? So when you think about it that way, right, then Africa alone is a trillion. And if Africa is a trillion, you already know that Nigeria is at least holding 25 to 30% of that. So that's about 300 billion, right? So who is processing 300 billion? It's a mixture of banks, fintechs, informal markets. And mind you, this trillion Africa is through formal rails. Formal rails meaning your banks, your fintechs, the ones that are reported. You don't know the ones going through WhatsApp channels, and all of that, which is actually massive. It's actually, honestly, 1.5x what is going through formal channels. It can be. So again, it's one of the things I told you, the shocker. One of the things that will shock you is when you now go into the streets, go into the markets, and you find out that, oops, some of your billionaire businessmen are not using anything to process their payments. You know? So you now pause and you say, what the hell is happening? So these are some of the things, and so that's why it was a shock. It was a shocker for me, but it was also a validator for me. And so when you hear someone like the founder of Nala, I keep forgetting his name, say their infrastructure for payments in Africa is 1% built, he's not lying, right? we've not started. Space still there. Get me? But we have to build it the right way. What a lot of people are building is not how these businesses are gonna work. You get that billionaire guy in Alaba, he won't go and be opening laptop and logging into these very elaborate dashboards. It confuses them. It has to be simpler than that. Right. So yeah. So that is basically it.
So, I think we've come to the end of the questions I have. I don't know if you have anything you want to tell to other founders in Super Team. Any word of advice or charge for them before we go?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, I think I said it earlier as well. It's just, I think it's when I said something I said in Abuja. I saw one of the guys who retweeted the other day, and I laughed. I keep saying be delusional. When I mean delusional, not delusional in the part you just be building scrap stuff, but be delusional in the fact that you identify a big problem or a big, huge issue, a huge problem, a huge market. The numbers are there, and you're saying, you know, them the consequences, right? Like basically you're brave enough to say, I'm going to give it a shot, right? I'm going to try to give it a shot. So there is, we also need to understand in the middle of all the stripes, the bridges, and the big names, there's money points, there's M-Pesa doing equally amazing work locally. Why? Because you need to understand that the psychology in Africa is different unless you're building a global product. But if you're going to build for Africa, you need to build it with African DNA. If M-Pesa was trying to force a kind of Cash App, Zelle, Venmo kind of solution on Kenyans, it will not scale. There's a reason why mobile money is killing it in West Africa, right? So the only apps that are doing well are bank apps because banks have won the trust battle. Every bank user of any bank account trusts the bank, so they can use a GT Bank app and all that. But nobody else has come and built an app, even as a fintech, that is killing it, right? Because of how the market psychology is, you know. But most businesses use money points, right? Because of course there isn't as a again, money point has gotten to that bank status. So you need to understand how people transact, what fuels the way they transact, and how they think about transacting, and you build according to that. So if you're going to build Web3 driven solutions, number one, you have no choice. You have to abstract the complexity out of it. That's number one. You need to make it simple. Then you need to make it straight to the point. And you need to make it worth the while of your users. Right. So that is it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Emeka. It was been an awesome time having this conversation with you, and I hope to be able to have this kind of sit down. I know you're a very busy person. Maybe probably next time. Thank you very very much. I appreciate for giving me this audience. Yeah, I know it's not going to. It was not a easy time to put up, but I really appreciate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Marvin. Anytime. Yeah. So have a great day, Chief.
Yeah, yeah, you too. Thank you very much. So this is me, and thank you, and we'll meet in the next one.